10-11 Financial Review Bill, second reading.
The bill is now set down for committee next sitting day. I call on Government Order Day number 2.
Social Security, Youth Support and Work Focus Amendment Bill, first reading.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Social Security Youth Support and Work Focus Bill be now read a first time. At the appropriate time, I will be moving that the bill is referred to the Social Services Committee and that the committee reports back to the House finally on or before 31 May 2012, and that the committee have the authority to meet at any time while the House is sitting, except during oral questions, and during an evening on a sitting day and on a Friday in a sitting week, and to meet outside the Wellington region when the House is sitting, despite Standing Orders 187, 188, 190 and 191, 1B and C. Mr Speaker, the welfare system is failing many New Zealanders. It has created a cycle of dependency for many, and 13% of working-age New Zealanders are on benefits, directly affecting more than 220,000 children. The system, I say, is failing them. And Mr Speaker, it is out of step with today's needs because times have changed. Today we have teenagers on welfare, teenagers who are given a weekly sum of money and then just left to get on with it. Many of these teenagers are parents. It is an abdication of responsibility to simply leave them and their babies to fend for themselves. We have sole parents trapped in welfare with little support and, quite frankly, little hope. We have women consigned to a life of welfare because over 30 years ago society said women couldn't support themselves without a man. Mr Speaker, this government is bringing the system out of the dark ages and into the light of modern-day New Zealand. We started the Future Focus changes in 2010, which proved the benefits of moving from a passive to an active approach. We're continuing with reforms because we owe it to New Zealanders. We will provide more support and we will expect more too. It's a fair balance and it's about time. Young people on benefits are our most vulnerable citizens because more than half of those who first go on to a benefit at 16 or 17 years old will spend at least 5 of the next 10 years on a benefit. The lifetime costs of paying these young people a benefit is higher than for any other group. The social cost, of course, can be devastating. More than a third of those on the DPB became parents as teenagers, and almost half of all of those on the DPB have no formal school qualifications. The long-term consequences are obvious, but we can make a difference. Mr Speaker, the measures we're introducing will reduce the risk of long-term benefit dependency for teenagers. They're designed to balance support and obligations in a way that will improve outcomes for young people. I'll be frank, we want to make welfare a less attractive proposition for many young people. We will not continue to dish out money to young people and teen parents and just hope that they will be okay. Instead, with the youth payment for 16 and 17-year-olds and the youth young parent payment for 16, 17 and 18-year-old teen parents, we will help them manage their money and into them being less dependent. A youth service provider will be attached to each young person and will help them to set up redirections so their rent and utilities are paid. After bills are paid, the provider will help them budget an amount to go on their payment card to be used for food and living essentials, with the remainder as a cash allowance. Payment card will work in supermarkets, much like it does at the moment for those on the hardship. They get hardship assistance and the money goes on that so that they can go into supermarkets. In return for this financial support, young people will have clear obligations to be in education, training or work-based learning. The idea is that we are moving them to being less dependent on the welfare system. For some young people, they will need a lot of help first up, and they will actually have more restrictions and have a youth provider working very closely with them. With others, you can see them being further down the line and needing less of that kind of control and able to move themselves quicker. There are 3 different incentive payments. They can earn an extra $10 a week for meeting certain obligations. A 16 or 17-year-old receiving the youth payment can earn up to $20 a week by completing a budgeting program and remaining committed to educational training. I think it's a really positive thing that for once we're incentivising the kind of behaviours we want instead of actually sanctioning young people like we so often do through the system. There will be incentives and obligations for teen parents too. We will no longer just assume that teenagers who are sole parents on welfare know how to look after their children without support around them. These are very young people bringing up babies, and quite frankly, both can be vulnerable a lot of the time. So these young parents will have to enrol their children with a primary health care provider and complete well child tamariki order checks. As an extra incentive, someone on a young parent payment could earn an extra $10 a week by completing a parenting program, and of course, like the other youth payment, they can also earn extra by doing budgeting and by staying in education for a sustained period of time. It makes sense to provide these incentives to reward positive behaviour, particularly when it's just so beneficial, not just to that youth, but also for those that are parents to their children as well. But failure to meet obligations means those incentives could be removed as well as their cash allowance. Education and training and having these young people in learning is absolutely crucial. I think the key to this part of the reforms being successful is going to be the relationship with the service provider, with the contracting model that we have in place, for where we put the incentives so they're actually reaching milestones themselves, so that we can see these young people actually moving ahead and not being in the same place that they are now in 5-10 years' time, which is what we see at the moment. We recognise for teen parents to resume or continue their education or training, childcare is vital. So a guaranteed childcare assistance payment for children under 5 will remove what can be a barrier for many. A key component to the changes for young people will be the way that we really engage them. That guaranteed payment, childcare assistance payment, will be vital to seeing them move on into the next. Then that wraparound support is for more than just those young people that are on benefit. It is also available to those disengaged 16 and 17-year-olds who are leaving school early. We know there have been anywhere up to 13,500 to 14,000 young people falling out of school and not going into work or training. This government cares enough to change the law so government departments can keep track of these young people, and we help them, and we can help them. We hear repeatedly from organisations out there who are working or want to work with these young people that actually they're too hard to find them, and by the time that link from them dropping out of school and actually being picked up by a provider on the street, those few months can be absolutely vital. So insisting that schools report in real time where they are will make a huge, huge difference. Another point that hasn't been picked up as these reforms have been talked about is that we'll extend these supports to 16 and 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds with children who are the spouse or partner of an older beneficiary. We often forget them. These young people are also at times vulnerable, not seen as individuals, actually are just seen as the partner, and can miss out on the sorts of supports that we think they need. Sole parents have been let down, Mr Speaker, and we need to look at the changes that we make around them. Yes, there will be changes to the age when they are part-time work tested. That work test is at 15 hours a week, but will have some flexibility around it. The reason we're putting flexibility is someone that's working 12 or 13 hours at the week at the moment would still be work tested. That doesn't make sense. Let's put a bit of flexibility around that sort of hourly for the numbers of hours that they work, so that it works more for them and works better for them as individuals. Some talk around subsequent children, Mr Speaker, and yes, there are certainly changes there. We are looking at those that have a baby. The work test will go while on benefit. The work test will go to those of when the child that they went on to benefit turns 5. So the work test, they'll be work exempt for a year, and then after that the work test goes to the child that they came on to benefit with. So if they come on to benefit with a 2-year-old, they have another one in that year, and that youngest one there is that child they came on with is only 3. They will not be work tested until that child is actually 5 years old. But, Mr Speaker, there are changes there as well. We're making changes to widows and women alone benefits. They're only available to women and not to men, obviously for the woman alone benefit. No work availability expectation, and quite frankly it's a very outdated concept and one that needs to change. So that will be changed in line with these reforms, Mr Speaker. I believe it's just reasonable and exactly what is needed. The fiscal costs of welfare are a serious problem, as is the waste of human potential associated with long-term benefit dependency. We can make a difference. These reforms are vital. Mr Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.
Mr Speaker.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the honourable member Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Isn't it interesting that the Minister began her